When OP discovers the truth about what happened between his wife and her supervisor, he's heartbroken and has a tough decision to make. But will his wife be able to charm him? To find out how this story ends, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it.
I'm 29, my wife's 32, and we've been together for 6 years and married for 4. We also have a 3-year-old together too. And for the most part, our relationship has been good, even though we've had a few rough patches here and there. The last year and a half, though, we had a long bout of a rough patch, and I developed a chronic illness that rendered me almost bedridden for the first month of it, and then I suffered from some mild depression as a consequence. I wasn't mean to my wife during my depression or illness, and if anything, I think I was extra caring and loving to her because I knew that what happened to me was also affecting her, as it would any couple. Over the last 2 months, I managed to finally and successfully, after various attempts with antidepressant medication, pull myself out of depression. With the help of a few lifestyle changes, working out, stopping isolation, therapy, I've been doing better than ever. I recovered, and my chronic illness as a result hardly bothers me anymore.
You did good.
As a result of these recent changes, my wife was happier and relieved that I managed to pick myself up successfully. And honestly, things were great, at least for about a month. I noticed after that month, my wife started acting a little more cold towards me, which I thought was odd because since I started feeling better, I thought she would have been relieved. I understand that it's hard to pick up from where we were, as we can't pretend like my illness during the last year and a half never happened. But we're married, so I assumed that she would get through it with me, and we'd come out of this a stronger couple. But that wasn't the case. She was starting fights with me, staying up late without me, not asking how my day was, and generally showed a lack of interest in me. I picked up on this relatively quickly and addressed it with her. She started crying, saying that the last year and a half was really rough for her because of my chronic illness and depression, and that she missed her family as they live quite far away. She said that she thought about leaving me, but she didn't want to because of our son. When I heard this, my heart sank, because all I wanted to do was give her everything and make her feel loved. We talked and cried for hours, discussing whether we should continue our relationship. In the end, we decided to try and work things out, and things were okay for the next 2 weeks. Soon enough, though, she started falling further away from me.
I wonder where she's going.
I attempted everything I could to bring us together, but it felt like it just wasn't working. I tried watching movies with her, being affectionate, initiating sex, and cooking her favorite foods, but it didn't work. We were fighting over small things. She'd be on her phone all day whenever we had days off together, which was usually on the weekend, and she never wanted to leave the house with me. This really hurt so bad because I felt responsible for it all. If I hadn't got that chronic illness and developed depression, our relationship would have been fine. It hurt even more when she chose to hang out with her friends instead of me, and even though I'm supportive of her seeing her friends, it seemed like she was prioritizing them over working on our relationship during this rough patch. We sat down again and talked about our relationship, and she said that she needed time to think about us, so she could figure out what she's going to do next. I panicked at this time because I didn't understand how she could change her feelings for me so suddenly. In the heat of the moment, when emotions were high, with both of us crying, I told her that I didn't want to hurt her anymore, so maybe it's best for us to move on because it doesn't feel like it's working. I told her that there's no need to think about anything, which resulted in me breaking up with her.
It was the right call.
She got angry and upset that I couldn't give her time to think and talk to her friends and family. We stopped talking for a while, and when I came back to her after a few hours, once things had cooled off, I said that I didn't mean to break up, and I just didn't know what was going on with us and what to do about it, and that it felt like she just wasn't trying. Later that night, she told me that she wanted to go out and spend time with her girlfriend. I told her to do whatever she needed to do, and I stayed home and put our son to sleep. It was around 11:30 p.m. when she left, and she came back around 2:30 in the morning. She was still angry, and said that I can't just do that to her, and that it was mean. I know that I shouldn't have broken up with her, and that I should have given her the space she needed to think about things, and then come back to her when she figured out what she wanted to do. So when she again told me that she needed some time to think, I gave it to her and told her to take as long as she needs, and that I just want to fix things. The next morning, we both woke up and got to talking after a quiet breakfast together, and she told me that she wanted to keep trying things with us. I was so relieved when I heard this and apologized to her for everything. I loved her so much and just wanted to make things work, and she told me the same. We went about our day together, but something felt off, like there was still an issue, or that something was left unsaid.
Hey kids, my spidey sense is tingling!
It felt like that all day. It was the worst feeling, as it felt like we were strangers in each other's house, walking on eggshells or something. Small talk was dull, and she just looked sad. Needless to say, the vibe in the house that day was flat and bleak. Because of how the day went, I knew things were spiraling and that our relationship was dying. So later that night, we talked about our relationship again. This time, we broke up for good, as she said that things just weren't working, and she hasn't been happy, and that the last year and a half was too much for her. I told her how sorry I was for everything and that I understood. It was a mutual breakup, and we talked for hours about how our futures were going to be. We cried, hugged, held hands, and comforted each other, so I guess you could say it was a peaceful breakup. Very sad, but peaceful. We went to bed, and I told her I could just sleep on the couch until we figured out our new living situation. She stayed in our bed with our son, and after a few hours of trying to sleep in the living room, my cat kept tapping at me and waking me up. I decided to go to the room where my wife was and asked if I could sleep in there because the cat was bothering me. She said it was totally fine, so I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Next to the bed was my wife's phone. Remember that feeling I was having about something being left unsaid? Well, we're getting to that. I let my curiosity get the best of me, grabbed her phone silently, and went through it. I'd never done that to her because I'm not a snooper, but my gut was right. It turns out that she'd been talking with her supervisor for the last month, and they were saying how much they liked each other and how she thought he was amazing. She even wished that she could be with him instead of me. I mean, there were so many hurtful things in their messages.
That was harsh, man. Even for her.
My heart was beating out of my throat, and then I saw a text message from her to him that was 2 nights ago. You know, when she was supposed to be hanging out with her girlfriend. She said to him, "Can I see you now?" So instead of hanging out with her friend, she met up with her supervisor. A little after she got home, she messaged him again, saying, "I can't believe that happened between us. Those things are hard to control, but I'm glad we did it." Immediately, I assumed they had sex, so I woke her up. She freaked out and asked why I was going through her phone and kept asking, "What did you read?" over and over again. I was crying and asked her if they had sex, and she replied, "No, we just kissed." But I didn't know what to believe. My heart kept saying that they had sex, but I couldn't know for sure because she kept denying it, and the text was so vague, but had enough information to show something sexual happened. I also asked if she was planning on telling me, and she said, "Probably," with almost no remorse. She wasn't crying or anything, she just looked ashamed and almost annoyed that she got caught. I told her that I wanted a divorce immediately, and that she needed to move out and to sleep on the couch until she found a place. Over the next few days, all she did was talk to me about our relationship. She cried a lot, barely ate any food, and just looked guilty. She also asked me to help her find a new place to live because she couldn't find anything she could afford. In response to her request, I said, "Well, maybe you should have thought about that before you fucked that guy."
Ouch.
Almost every time we spoke, it was passive-aggressive on my part because of what she did to me. I was sarcastic to her when she asked me simple questions, and gave her snarky and rude remarks about her and the guy she slept with when she wanted to. Talk about our relationship. It was so ugly. She kept saying that she doesn't want a divorce because she can't afford to pay for half of it. And when I offered to pay for the full divorce, she kept insisting that we don't go through with it. She was plaguing my mind with what she did, and it was all I could think about. 2 days ago, though, I decided to go through her phone again, and even though we were broken up, I wanted to know if they actually had sex. Even though she kept denying that she did, I just couldn't get rid of the feeling I had. Anyway, I went through her phone to see if they talked more about what they did that night, and I found a text that was sent a few hours prior to me reading it. The message said, "Isn't it crazy what happened last week? You were ready for a third time. Is that normal for you?" And he replied with, "Is that a bad thing?" And she replied, "No, all of it was amazing. It was dangerous, but I liked it." And that was the bullet that killed me. But now I knew for sure that they slept together twice. I told her that I went through her phone again, and she got upset, saying that we're not a couple anymore, so I can't be doing that. I agreed and said that I just wanted to know for sure, and now I know. She started crying and said that she didn't want me to know because it would only make me hate her more than I already did. I know that I shouldn't have snooped again, and maybe I did more damage to myself than good, but I didn't know how to cope with this betrayal. I told her that she needed to move out as soon as possible because I can't stand to look at her, and she agreed to it, even though she didn't want to. She kept asking for my help with looking for an apartment, and every time she did, I just laughed and told her that she's on her own, and that she needs to figure it out because she doesn't deserve my help with anything. I mean, she fucked someone else. The anger is so intense. And when she was supposed to go look at an apartment, she went over to this guy's house, and I'm pretty sure that she slept with him again.
I think so too.
Even though she's telling me that she feels bad about what she did. When she got home, I asked about the apartment she saw, and she started blushing, so I knew she was lying. Now, to make things even more complicated, last night she told me that she needed to talk. I asked her what it was about, and she said that she wants us to get back together, and that she didn't want a divorce. It was only yesterday that I was filling out the divorce papers as she sat there, watching and crying the whole time. She said that she wants to make things work for the sake of our family and our kid, and that she misses me. During our conversation, she said that this is something she's been thinking about ever since this whole thing started. I got angry and told her that she can't just ask me to do something like that and expect me to adhere to it. She cried and said that she regretted everything she did and just wants to try again. But I'm not even thinking about giving her a second chance, because at this point it feels like she's only trying to be with me because she can't find an apartment, and it's convenient for her to stay. At the same time, though, I've been so snarky and angry with her, I don't know why she'd even want to stay in the same house as me. She told me that she wanted to try couples therapy, and she would never talk to the guy again, and she would show me her phone if I wanted to see it. She said that she was willing to do anything and begged me to stay with her and give her another chance. I asked her for the absolute truth and wanted to know if she actually looked at that apartment. I said, "Don't lie," and she admitted that she went to the guy's house, but said that they didn't do anything, and that she just wanted his help with finding a new apartment. She was at his house for 2 hours, and even though she's on her period, I'm sure that something happened between them. I'm in so much pain. I understand that our relationship was tough the last year and a half, but I don't think I deserved this from her.
It sounds like reality came for OP's partner real quick, and that the guy she cheated with has no real interest in taking things further with her. I mean, if he did want something more, wouldn't he have given her a place to stay, even if just for a little while? It's amazing to me how people are so eager to blow up their lives because the grass looks greener on the other side, but in truth, this is rarely the case. While this whole thing was extremely painful for OP, I hope that he's able to get through it. Before we call it quits for today, let's go through some of the comments.
All Incalicious says, "I'm sorry, he dumped her. It got too complicated for him, or his fun was had. This is certainly not a willing choice on her part, a sudden change of heart. But even if it was, all of her reasons for staying have been financial or housing. Not even how to navigate co-parenting. Continue with the divorce and ensure that you protect yourself and your family. All the best." Lip Blip Bingo responds and says, "Agreed. She's checked out of this marriage. I think she went to his house and told him that she was getting divorced and may have asked to move in with him. I'm sure that he said no because suddenly this situation became complex, and he probably didn't want to commit to her. So he either ended things or said that she can't move in. You're her safe bet, so she'll say and do anything to stay. I guarantee that she'll move on and become more secretive in the future, so save yourself this additional pain and end things. Critical Bank says, it sounds like her side guy told her that it's just sex and nothing more, and that he's not letting her move in, and they won't be a couple. You can guarantee that if he wanted her, she'd have already bounced. Keep processing that divorce paperwork and give her a formal deadline to get out. She's dragging things out because her monkey branch broke and she doesn't want to face the consequences of her infidelity. Truth be told, she betrayed you in the most intimate ways possible, knowing it would likely end the marriage and devastate you emotionally. She didn't care and did it anyway, and even after she got caught, she continued to lie and still does, refusing to take responsibility. Get her out of your life as soon as possible.
I don't see any issue with the comments left by these Redditors, but it's all up to OP now. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.